You're listening to the Love Over Addiction podcast. Hello, how are you? I'm going to make this quick. I'm going to try and make this quick. I want to talk about leaving when you love someone struggling with addiction. I want to talk about how absolutely frustrating it feels when you are trying absolutely everything you can to get your point across to the one you love who's struggling with addiction, that this cannot go on, that you have had enough, that you are at your breaking point, and if things don't change, you can't see yourself with them. You've tried being nice and patiently communicating all of your feelings and your needs, just like all those self-help and therapists say, right? You've been responsible. You've done it nicely. And where does that leave you? It leaves you with someone who looks you in the eye, agrees with you, tells you they're going to change, makes promises to you that things will get better, and then time goes by and they hurt you again. So all of a sudden, those nice requests, those responsible ways to communicate seem like they don't work. So then you try harsher ways. Maybe you're yelling. Maybe you're coming unglued. Maybe you're trying to make your case in the kitchen, at the table. You're using giant hand gestures, but your voice is raised, but not raised too much because then the kids might hear you in the other room, right? And then they look you in the eye and they might fight back. They might try to blame you. They might throw the ball back into your court and say, well, if you didn't do this, right, I wouldn't have to drink. If you didn't do this, I wouldn't have to leave. If you didn't behave like this, I wouldn't have to go out with my friends. And you sit there and you think for a second and you go, is that true? Could it be my fault? Is there some validity in this, in what they're saying to me? And then the more you fight like this, the more you realize you get smarter to the game. The more you've been married or in love with someone struggling with addiction, you realize that when they try to throw it back in your face, their drinking problem, their addiction problem, back at you and say you have something to do with it, that you're partly responsible for this, when you've done it long enough, you start to catch on to the tricks and you realize this is just a form of manipulation and I'm not going to fall for it anymore. You're not fooling me, addiction. And so you fight back and you point it out. You say, no. I'm not holding the bottle to your mouth. I don't own a weapon. I'm not threatening you with this weapon if you don't look at the porn or take the drug. I'm not saying I'll leave you forever if you don't get drunk. I have nothing to do with your addiction. You're a grown human being who makes the decision with your own free will to take the pill or drink the bottle or whatever addiction they're dealing with. So you throw it back in their face. You say, I'm not falling for this anymore. Where does that get you? You're standing in the kitchen table. Your arms are failing. You're kind of loud, but you're not too loud. And you're saying, no, I refuse to believe the lies that you have been feeding me and trying to manipulate me by putting the blame on me. The destruction of our relationship is due to your addiction. And your addiction is your problem to solve, not mine. Anything I do externally on my performance in our relationship will not move the dial on your sobriety. That's your job, not mine. Whether I'm in your life or not, you have to make the decision to get sober. And that's the frustrating part. They're not getting sober. They're not choosing to get better. And you are desperate because you don't want to be alone. And you don't want this relationship to end. And when you think about the future without them, it's paralyzing. It's fear overcomes you. Not just fear of the fact that you don't know if there's ever going to be anyone ever. You think about spending holidays alone. You think about the kids and what the heck does that look like? Are they going to blame you? Are they going to be mad at you? But also the little things. It's the little tiny things that you get stuck on with fear. Like, okay, how are you going to take out the trash at night? How are you going to pay this one bill that you know nothing about? How are you won't get that tradition of going to this one vacation that you've always gone on. That won't happen anymore. You might be worried about going to teacher parent conferences and needing to set up 2 instead of 1. There might be 1 or 2 people, your brother, your father, your sister, your aunt, your friend, who you really are worried about their opinion of you if you announce you're getting a divorce. It's all those baby tiny things that you think aren't that big of a deal, right? You think, why am I getting stuck in fear on these baby things? And those things are the reason why I'm staying in this marriage or in this relationship, right? That's why you are so frustrated. That is why you are coming unglued, unhinged. You're ready to pull your hair out because they are not getting it. They don't understand how serious you are about leaving if they don't get sober. And then another thing hits you. Maybe they walk out of the room and you're left there by yourself. Or maybe you blow up because you don't like yourself when you're yelling and you think, who have I turned into? And you leave the room. And then it hits you that they're not getting sober even if they believe you are ready to leave. And that is where the heartbreak is. Because you thought they loved you more than they really do. You thought for sure the idea of you not being in their life would scare them so much that they would be sober because you would do the same. The idea of them not being in your life scares you to death. There's nothing you wouldn't do, right? So all of a sudden, this extra layer of heartbreak falls upon you because you're realizing they're not getting sober for you. And then the doubts start falling in. Am I worth somebody loving? What is wrong with me that they don't love me enough to get sober? And you replay all the things, all the mistakes that you've made in the past about, you judge yourself about your relationship. You think, if I hadn't said this, if I had done this better, if I had been more supportive in this area, whatever shortfalls you are insecure about, because we all have insecurities, those are the things that you hold against yourself in moments like this. They're like little nagging voices that get stronger and stronger because you feel like if someone truly loved you, if you were truly worthy of love, they would get sober. And you compare yourself. You sit there and you think about other couples that you know who don't have this problem, and you think, well, maybe if I was more like them, maybe if I was more like her, maybe if I was more like them, maybe that would be it. And so you start to morph yourself. You start to compromise your values. You start putting up with stuff that you would have never normally put up with before this relationship. And you justify it because you trick yourself into believing that if you do the work, if you're the one changing, then finally they're going to one day wake up and see you, love you enough, and get sober. And I am here as your friend to tell you that is a bunch of BS. All of it. Take it and throw it in the trash. That is addiction's way of manipulating you to keep you stuck, to keep you feeling helpless, to keep you feeling like you're the villain and your loved one is the hero. You are not the villain in this scenario. Remember, we talked about this. You are the victim. Your loved one, well, your loved one is probably also a victim, but the true villain here is addiction. Typically, there's a villain, a hero, and a victim. And your growth in this process of loving someone struggling with addiction is going to be becoming, growing into the hero. Joseph Campbell, who's a wonderful author, was a wonderful author, wrote a book called The Hero's Journey. And it's all about how we have a calling. And the journey to that calling, it ain't easy. It's not. That's the truth. You are being called right now, in this moment, in this relationship, by something far more powerful than addiction. But this relationship is one of your purposes. And if you grow through it and you transform from the victim into the hero, you have fulfilled a destiny and a purpose that is truly amazing. You will start as one person and you will finish as someone truly beautiful. The transformation. I remember my therapist told me it is like a butterfly. And right now, when you have no intention of leaving or you're debating leaving, but you are in the pain, you are in the thick of it when you love someone struggling with addiction, you are slowly building your cocoon, your web around you, your safe spot. You are detaching from your relationship. You're not leaving yet. The transformation, the root of the transformation has begun, but you are cocooning. You are hibernating. You are in a place of growth without change on the outside, but you are growing within. You are transforming. You are listening more to yourself, and you are tuning out the voice of addiction. You are gaining wisdom from you as you are slowly building this cocoon around you. And it is only once you are in that cocoon, you have created a safe spot for yourself that you can reconnect with who you are. And you start to form a little light within the darkness. When you are in this cocoon, it is okay to be sad. It is okay to rest. It is okay to be in the fetal position and stay in the fetal position for as long as you need to. You do not need to conquer anything. You do not need to hustle. You do not need to work harder. You need to remain quiet, still. Wait. Wait for the answers. Wait for the calling. Wait for the instructions. They are within you. And the longer that you are in this cocoon, the more wonderful the transformation, the clearer the purpose. And as you slowly start to transform from that caterpillar into a butterfly, as you slowly start to emerge, your life will become more beautiful. This is the calling of your life right now. This is why your destiny was to fall in love with someone struggling with addiction. Because we are all called to grow and transform. And this is your catalyst. Answer it. Pay attention. Turn within. Your solution is not getting them sober. It is not convincing them in the kitchen at the table that they have a problem. They know they have a problem you do not need to try. They get it. They're just not being honest with you about it. And even if they were, they don't want to change yet. So stop looking externally for what you need internally. You are your greatest hero, not the person that you fell in love with. You. This is your hero's journey. So next time that you turn to your loved one and you're looking for them to validate you, you're looking for them for your self-worth, you're looking for them to love you harder, to love you better, to make you more important, stop. Try to stop. Make yourself important. Turn within. Fall in love with you. Broken, tender, loving, sensitive, wonderful, beautiful you. This podcast is created for your support, encouragement, and entertainment with my personal thoughts and beliefs. We are bonded together by the fact that we love someone suffering from addiction. This is not intended as a substitute for therapy or advice from a professional.